paint professionals, and this is going to be a good showing here for the first one. So my goal is to do this monthly initially, and do it twice a month, and then hopefully with the goal of doing it weekly once it sort of gains steam. But really the goal is to bring a bunch of innovators together and do different types of software development and hacks, try and cross-pollinate the community. So I think one of the problems we have is we've got .NET groups and then PHP, other stuff, and everybody is really segmented. So this would be a good way to bring people together. So anyway, we're going to do, the format is just like 5 minutes presentation, and then, let's see, and 5 minutes Q&A. Might go a little longer. Again, this is the first one, so we'll see how it works. But the first guy we have is Reynolds, and he's a software engineer for VML. And he's going to be talking about Andaverde for Windows. It's called Chocolatey. So. Thanks, Mike. So, how many people know what apt-get is? Awesome, fantastic. For those that don't, you know what homebrew is? Alright, so when you translate that to Windows, that's Chocolatey. I'm actually going to be giving a longer version of this presentation at Kansas State Developer Conference. They had just a couple slides to write it. So, in Windows hasn't really had anything take off yet. For those of you that aren't familiar with apt-get or homebrew, what that is it's a really fast way to install things on your machine. So if you do find yourself in Windows, you have Chocolatey, and Chocolatey can install, configure, and completely set up your machine. So, all right. So nothing installed yet. You guys see that? Say I want to install Git, but really I want to install something that Git uses called Git extensions. So I type pull the command line, right, and then type CINST, short for Chocolatey install Git extensions. In the past, what I would have done is went out to the internet, did a search, found the thing I wanted on the Googles, and then pulled it down, unlocked it, next, right? And what other operating systems kind of laugh at is they don't have to do this. They have a very quick way to install things. And it's really nice in a way that if I wanted to install Git extensions and I didn't have Git installed on my machine, it would reach out and install that as well. And we really need to make that a bit bigger. What Chocolatey is, it uses PowerShell to do its job. And it pulls down a package. The package has all the instructions in it. And so when people update things, they just update the packages. Chocolatey has a really good interface for interacting with these packages, so that something like installing Git is just a couple of lines of PowerShell. Right, you can see right here, it went and installed Git because I didn't have that installed, and then it followed through with installing Git extensions. There you go, I got it installed. A couple seconds there. Not sure if I have to restart my command line. Nope, I got Git. So very quickly, I was able to pull down and install 2 different applications. Chocolatey itself exists on the internet at a centralized location called Chocolatey.org, but your packages do not have to be centralized. You You can have multiple package sources, including owner shares and other OData feeds. And you can see there's about 700 packages right now, and that number is quickly going up as this thing becomes more popular. So, you can see some of the most popularly downloaded packages aren't even the .NET ones. So like Ruby, Never.js, and Python are some of the biggest installs that come off of this. As far as creating packages, we wanted to make that pretty easy too. To install something like Winderstat, it's this one line. So, creating packages is very easy. Doesn't get much bigger. All right. Now we can open up for questions. So the question is, does it manage updates? Yes. The command that you would use to do the updates is Chocolatey update, and then the package name, or you could use Chocolatey update all, and every single package you have installed on your system, if there's an update, it's going to update all of those.
Any way to do a non-default install, meaning that you can, there's some options of how to install it or where to install it?
So the question is, can you do a non-default install? The answer is yes. What you can do is you can actually override all of the command line switches. So like this switch right here. If you wanted to have it go to a particular directory and you do that switch with /d, and you could say /d, you provide it as a switch at the end of that command. Very such much. Support for Windows 8. Yes, this does run as Windows 8. Works with PowerShell 2 and 3. How does it work with the Windows App Store for Windows 8? It doesn't. That thing is not a Win32 type system. That uses the Metro, whatever they're calling it now, the Player of the Week is. So this is still just for the desktop type apps. How long have I been working on this? Chocolatey next month will be 2 years old. It's still not version 1. Sorry. Did I design this? Yes. Came up with the concept when we were working on NuGet. We said, what if we had a machine package manager? And we joked that that would be called Chocolatey NuGet. Then I got mad enough and sat down and did it. So.
Did you learn any good lessons from building something like this, or that you might not have already known? Or?
So the question is, lessons learned? Did I learn anything? Yes, learned a lot. In fact, I knew some about PowerShell. The thing about PowerShell is every time I work with PowerShell, I'm learning it again because I forget it the next day. Great language. I learned quite a bit of advanced ideas, and we're always trying to bring those ideas back into making the install process super easy for people. So what you see now is this install Chocolatey package. What you'll see in the future is install MSI. You don't have to provide switches. So just point to where it's at. And one thing I did show you that goes on the end of that is if there's a 64-bit output, just tack it onto the other side. And at runtime, it'll pull down whichever one your system requires. So a feature that's coming in the future, a feature that's coming in the future would allow you to say, I want to force x86, so I can have both installed. And package maintenance sucks. The question is, how can you help me grow it? The answer is that you get involved in the community, go out to chocolatey.org, there's a link to the discussion. You can get involved that way. If you get on there, you see a package that's missing that you'd like to get on there, take a look at that create package reference on the wiki, and it kind of draws out the whole process, and just create packages. If you see packages that are outdated, you can usually
send messages out to the authors. You could also send them pull requests so that they can get them updated.
So in the world of Ruby on Rails, we have Bundler, which manages all of our gems and versions and everything. What kind of mess do you have to deal with version requirements and checking to make sure that everything is lining up correctly for you to install any package?
So the question is, what kind of mess do we have to deal with when it comes to dealing with conflicts? The answer to that is NuGet already does that. Chocolatey just builds up on top of that infrastructure. So we didn't have to deal with most of that, which was nice. Allowed us to recover very quickly. One more question.
So if I'm able to create my own package, do you have a process that scans the packages to make sure they haven't been rootkitted or something? So that I can upload a package that has a rootkit and then somebody else would chocolatey NuGet it?
The question is there malware, and what processes do we go through to keep malware away? The answer to that is we do review all packages after the fact. When it starts to become crazy, what we'll probably switch to is a moderated feed, so your packages don't even show up until they've been reviewed and approved. We're working on that now, so because it is starting to get to that point. To date, we've only found one thing that was flagged as malware, but that was because the actual tool itself was flagged as malware. It wasn't really malware. Thanks.
So up next we've got Riebschlager. He's an engineer for Barkley in the Innovation Lab. He created a software project called Fearless Portrait for TedXAustin. It's pretty cool. You guys are laughing much, it's pretty good. How do you guys work like that? I know, right? So, here's more copy. So yeah, like Mike said, my name is Chris, and I work in the Innovation Lab here at Barkley. So basically I get to play with emerging tech and create prototypes and find uses for new technology and advertising content. So it's a pretty cool gig. Should I be using a mic? Can you guys hear me?
Use the mic.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's on the chair. Still. Sorry.
Still louder. There we go. Cool. That is cool.
Someone's trying to say really felt in the world.
Yeah, so anyway, what I do all day is basically create prototypes and new tech. But one of the things that I'm kind of passionate about in my personal life is creating generative art. And that's basically creating art from code. So you write software that kind of creates artwork on your behalf. That's animations, images, videos. And so I was really stoked when I was invited to create a digital installation for TedXAustin. I'm assuming you guys are all familiar with TED. Right, it's smart people talking to other smart people about smart shit. So a bunch of artists were commissioned to create installations for the space, and there's a lot of cool stuff there. It's really cool to be part of it. And they basically said, make something cool. That was the only assignment I had, which sometimes that's the greatest assignment ever. It's a sweet gig, but when you have a canvas that's that wide open, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You don't know where to start. So I started with what I had, and that was an Excel spreadsheet with everyone's first and last name, their Twitter handle, and their favorite word. To attend TedXAustin, you had to fill out an application, and one of the questions on that app was, what's your favorite word? And I thought that was kind of interesting. So After doing a couple different things like this, I learned 3 things. That's that people like things that are about them, that make them kind of the star for a little bit. Also, they like to have some type of takeaway, whether that's a physical artifact that they're taking home, or something that's generated online that they can check out and say, hey, I always spent this event. And third, and this is kind of specific to TEDx attendees, they like to prove that they were at the event. They like to say, I was one of these 300-some people that got accepted to go attend TedXAustin. So with that in mind, my computer's falling asleep. I decided that I would snap photos of people at the events and combine their portrait with their face, portrait with their favorite word, in a way that makes them look kind of cool. So I came up with this various portraits idea. And the way that works is I created a Java app built on a framework called processing. Are you guys familiar with that? I'm guessing by that resounding response that no. Anyway, there's a couple different steps to how this app works. First is I snapped a photo with my DSLR camera, and then I was hooked up via USB to my machine, so whenever I snapped a new photo, it transferred JPEG to my hard drive. The app was constantly watching this folder for new JPEGs, and when I had one locked and loaded and ready to go, I would find the person who came up to my booth, name in my list, click their name, it gives me their word, and snap a photo of them, and then hit go. And from there, the app uses OpenCV to identify the face, because the whole point of this thing is I'm splitting their face in half and making it half words, half them. So, try as I might, I'm never going to snap the perfect photo where their face is right in the middle of the JPEG. So I'm using OpenCV to return a rectangle that basically gives me eye-to-eye and down to the mouth. So that way, I divide that in half, it gives me all the geometry I need to start this. So then basically, I create a particle system using the center of the face as center of gravity, and create a system of points that kind of orbit that center of gravity. And as they orbit around the face, I'll play this again. As they're orbiting around the face, they know where they are and what they're supposed to do. So when a pixel happens to land over here, it knows, okay, I need to start filling in part of the face. So it will search through the pixel array to find out what color should I be drawing here. It should be kind of white here. It should be dark there. And if that point happens to land on this side, it knows its job is to start filling in the words. So the cumulative effect of all these points circling this center of gravity and making those decisions kind of just end up in the impression of the face. So yeah, we did about 170 of these. People really liked it. And then a bunch of people who might hopefully hire me to do something like this in the future. So there you got it. Ta-da! Questions, concerns, criticisms?
Explain what OpenCV is.
OpenCV is CV stands for computer vision. One of its uses is to do visual detection. You can do a lot more with it, but I was just using it to basically search through the JPEG for a face and get a rectangle that you can use.
Java, however.
I'm using a Java port of it that supports OpenCV for everything.
My wife works at the Nelson Active Museum of Art. Would you consider doing something with them? They might be really interested.
Actually, I've done a bunch of stuff with it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you were at the Monet exhibit, but I did that Paint Like Monet app.
Oh, she did, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
I also did one for the Organic exhibit where you can make your own sculptures. And yeah,
Have you done that?
I actually have a meeting with them soon, so I will show them this, and hopefully they'll get stoked and want to do something like this. Yeah.
Are you on Twitter, Bill?
I am on the tour though. You can find me, and here's the hard part, it's my last name. It's Riebschlager. Yeah. Is there gonna be like a central place where?
We can go to the 816.
Yeah, go to the 816.com. That's easier to remember. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. So up next we've got Joe Andaverde. He's a software engineer with Softek, and he's got the, you guys have seen any tweets, but I've been talking about some Arduino projects, and I think this is pretty cool. So it's called the Robot Smoker. This is my phone, by the way. I know it fits with the room, so that might be there. Awesome. Like you said, my name is Joe Andaverde. There's my Twitter handle for understand what I said. I use Arduino, Node.js, D3.js, and Zigbee, or however you want to say it. A lot of people say XP, Zigbee. I really don't know what to say, but it's this thing. To transmit information from my smoker to my computer to be graphed and controlled so that I don't have to sit around and tend to the heat of my smoker. So, here is the controller unit for my smoker. What we have here is the Arduino, with on top of it is a Zigbee adapter, and this right here is just the ambient temperature, so that I can see the temperature difference from the outside of the smoker to the inside, and kind of give me more data so that I can figure out how effective the insulation is for my smoker. What that does is it controls this relay switch here that I created to turn on essentially an electric burner. And then we've got the temperature sensor here, which is just a thermocouple which has been burned to hell. And chewed up by my dog, by the way. It tastes great. And so it's got all kinds of juices on it. Pork. I've smoked salmon, pork, beef. I didn't do very good at the beef, but I did. So anyways, that's all controlled. Well, actually, let me show you a demo of it real quick. Let's pretend that this lamp is my smoker. What I've done is created this UI here, and this is graphing the temperature over 2 minutes, and apparently 10 minutes doesn't work, or maybe because I just started it. There's the current temperature. Red means it's over temperature. Right now the target's between 60 and 65 degrees. So it kind of oscillates with the burner turning off. It drops temperature, then you have to kick the burner back on before it reaches the bottom temperature in order for it not to dip too low. And then at the bottom here, you can send commands to the smoker. So throughout the smoking time, sometimes I want it hot, and maybe I want to finish off really, slow or something. So what I can do is set, this is not very, it's kind of rudimentary, but set the target temperature to 100 degrees. And what that's going to do is turn, clicked, turn the lamp on. Now the target temperature is between 100 and 105 degrees, and it's too low, so it's yellow. And essentially what it's trying to do now is heat up. So you've got this indicator here by smoker temp that tells you it's on. And so I did the graphic with D3.js, and I used Node.js and Socket.io in order to transmit that information real time from my smoker. How much time do I have left? So I'll just show you really quickly. This is available on GitHub. If you're interested in looking at the code, github.com/Joe Andaverde, same as my Twitter. And it's called, this project is called Smoker. show you really quick the Arduino software. And this is what sets up, so setting up, I'm just going to quickly go over this. Setting up the different pins on the thermocouple to do the reading. This is what's processing the command. It's a very limited set and it's very rudimentary, but you can set the temperature of the target and whatever D means. Oh, apparently a delay. So how it reports back, I don't really use that very often because I generally, it seems to be working. So it's kind of a rudimentary thing, a development thing. So this right here is how I'm reading from the thermocouple interface. And so there's the gist of, there's the algorithm essentially to take the reading from the thermocouple and turn it into a temperature. And to get outside temperature, instead of a thermocouple, use a thermistor. And that is kind of a little bit of an equation here to figure out based on the voltage going through that baby what the temperature is. I'm sorry, the resistance. And then, then it loops, and this is essentially the logic that's determining whether or not it needs to turn the burner on or burner off, and that's this here. And then it reports back over serial connection, which gets transmitted over my Zigbee to my Node.js program, which is listening using Node serial port, and it's listening in this particular situation, USB port, and whenever it gets data, essentially this class is just an event emitter, and I'm subscribing to that elsewhere, so all I'm really doing is setting off that point. So every 2 seconds this gets hit, it says smoker.emit, and I've got code that is listening for that. So right here, well, sorry, smoker.on right here. So every time that gets emitted, it adds its inflected data, and then every 2 seconds or so down here, I'll move it up, it sends that information to the client side. So this right here is what's sending to the client side to be ground. Okay, well, are there any questions? I could turn it off. Quick. So it says temperature is 60, and it should go off.
You have patient smoker?
Oh! Yes, I do. Of course I do. I wouldn't. Not the album. There we go. So yeah, that's a really good question. So here's looking down into the smoker, and I really wish this could be bigger. Let's see if I can use my slideshow or something. So this will be out of order, and I didn't plan on going out of order like this. But all right, great. So this is a pork butt. This is pork ribs, and I built this table too. This is awesome. This is my first creation of it. I set it on 2 2x4s so I can get the wires up from the bottom. So yeah, it's just a hot plate with a pie pan, and I put wood chunks in there, and that's a close up of the controller. And that was really good, by the way. And yeah, so I cut a hole in the table, put the pot in it, and I've got a little silicone barrier here and everything to kind of keep the smoke in. So, let's do it. Let's do that. Any question here? All right.
I see all the code on GitHub. Do you have diagrams for all the hardware?
Do I have diagrams?
Yeah.
No, I don't. The hard part, the really only hard part was the relay switch, and that's just a very simple relay switch. It's not. I could put a diagram up there if you're really interested, but that's. So that was kind of an interesting, I had to figure out a lot of electrical properties to make that work. So I'm not an electrical engineer by any means, I'm a software engineer. So it was kind of a fun experiment.
Did you bring any food samples?
Smoking is a kind of a process that takes, 8 hours or more. One gonna get up and get that. But next time.
Did it positively affect the meat after you had the regulator on there?
I never did it without a regulator. So I think it's awesome. I left the thing alone for 15 hours and it overcooked my brisket, but that's only because I didn't know what I was doing. You're supposed to wrap the brisket and do some other things. But my pulled pork usually turns out great. It's 6 hours unattended, except for when I need to go and add some wood. But it does pretty well at regulating the temperature. I'd say it dips maybe plus or minus 10 degrees, which for the smoker is pretty good. A lot of people are fighting to keep the temperature in a charcoal smoker, or having high airflow and all that. I don't have to worry about that because mine's electric.
Yeah, what they should choose to do like an electric hot plate for regulating. I think I've seen like some similar kind of concepts where they do like fans that kind of blow the coals. It seems like
I did electric because it's easiest.
Yes.
Honestly, I pick up the pie pan after it's cooled off, dump it in the trash, get all the ashes out, and I'm done. And I've got the wheels on this thing. I roll it back into my garage, and then it's ready for next weekend.
you put wood chips on it.
Yep. Yeah. I usually cook around, depending on the meat, 240 degrees. Smoked salmon I did at 150. So.
You ever take that thing apart and piece many pieces for other projects?
Oh, right.
Or you just leave it?
So that's a good question. I actually got this one to shower board. So not a PCB or anything like that. I zip tied all this to a shower board so that I could take it apart. Now, since I started this project, I bought like 6 more Arduinos, so I really don't need to. It's honestly very easy just to, I've got these holes on top here, and I just put them on top of my smoker taking it all down.
What's the dollar amount on that?
I'd say this thing cost me, well, the smoker in and of itself, if you go to andaverde.net, which is my blog, which isn't very bloggy, but I kind of go over, one second, let me pull it up, get the number. I show you how to build one and how much it cost me and all the things that I use. So I think it cost me for the smoker $115. The pots were the most expensive piece. They're $40 a pop.
And those pots don't break? I mean, they don't crack?
No, they're made out of ceramic, so they're pretty resilient to heat. And they actually do a very good job of insulating the smoker.
So to replace the wood chips, you actually have to lift up the...
Yeah, so I put on the, if I got a picture here. I put little handles on here so that I can pull that baby off, put it down on the table that I created, and I also have on the grate handles. So I'll put this back here. The good thing is, this maintains the heat in the lid whenever you pull it off. Pretty well. So yeah, if you have any questions, and you want to see how to build something like this, andaverde.net, you can go see the smoker control at github.com/joeandaverde. And thank you all for listening.